So thank you for being here. By you being here in person, during the time of class, it really helps the energy for me and for you and for the others in the class. So you're helping, it's a ripple effect. You're helping all the people here and your own self. I mean, we have energy is an important factor, and the energy goes higher when you're here in person. So a big thank you to you.
Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you, Bonnie. Thank you so much. Well, before kind of jumping into our topic that I'm very excited to share today, I want to ask, what kind of learnings did you have? So this last week, what'd you try out? What'd you notice that you were talking about differently, thinking differently, maybe less craving, less something that you're wanting to change, more something that you want to do more of, more spices, more playing around with things? What did people do, try out and learn? Yes, Jennifer.
I made a batch of quinoa, and I just kept it in the fridge, and I sprinkled it on salads. And actually, salads. I mean, same just kind of, made it ahead of time, and then I just used it throughout the week.
Yes. So having it ready to eat just made such a difference. Correct. That's what I'm hearing. So yes, there. And did you see it when you opened the refrigerator so that you're like, oh, I have that? Mm-hmm. So putting it in a place. So just moving a little bit the refrigerator just helps tremendously. Having that available, whatever format it takes. Yes. Other learnings.
I also made steel cut oats, and I made 4 servings. So I used, I just zapped it in the microwave and days up there.
Did you have it one big pot, or did you divide it out into servings so that you grabbed it each morning?
It was 4 servings.
Yeah.
And I just put it, what was left over, out of these servings, I put in a little Tupperware, and I took out some.
I've heard of other people doing it for the steel cuts. Now, steel cut is fine if you don't use, but if you do, make a big batch. A lot of people will do it and just take for the next 4 days or so.
So fix it, and then I put it in bowls. So I had equal amounts of milk and cereal. Otherwise, you might end up with, at the beginning, I would end up with nothing on the last.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes. So Carolyn divides it out. Yes. Other sharings? Yes.
We did the frozen black grapes, and they do pretty much taste like candy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, look at that. That's at the top of my list there. So my list of items. So it's very concentrated because it's got the skin. It's the little balls. So it's got a lot of concentration there. So that's great. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Okay. So anybody, Pharaoh, pick that up or think about it or, okay. Stir fry sauce, the peanut sauce. Anybody? Yeah, we're going to have another peanut sauce today so you can compare. Monkey cauliflower. Anybody make? Okay. Anybody going to maybe put that on their list today? Yeah. So tomato. So we got tomato today. What?
I have ingredients that is set.
Okay, Bonnie has ingredients. Well, that's a learning, a sharing. So awesome. Well, today we're going to talk about ways that you can increase the power of what you're eating, these things that you're already doing great, by 10, 20, and even up to 40 times. Get the power from them, some of the stuff that we know from them. So sounds pretty cool. So I want to start off with a little bit of a lesson in horticulture. So let's see here. I think I got a chat from Kelly. So, okay, here she sent me some stuff here. So I'm going to read this off. The first thing I want to talk about is our healthy lifestyle activities. If you're a member of Gilda's Club, you have a lot of mind-body activities like slow flow yoga once per week. It's traditional mat yoga, but with cancer in the forefront of your mind, we also have chair yoga. Then Cancer Companion Program. It's one of their newer programs. It's like cancer friendship matchmaking. If someone wants a companion, we talk with that person, see what they're looking for in a companion, maybe similar cancer type, gender, age range, things like that. Then we search our database for a match. And then we set up a meeting and you take it from there. So Gilda's Club QC.org is where you can find out more information. So awesome. Okay, so I am going to share, and you're going to have to, unfortunately, look at the PowerPoint there on the screen. So I don't have a lot of words. I can send people the PowerPoint, of course, afterwards. So, okay, so this is a beautiful flower. So this is, anybody know what this flower is? It's hard to see. Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, it is. It's not very big there. Mustard flower. Okay. So it's beautiful yellow. If you've ever seen a mustard like field, it is beautiful. Just pops out yellow. And so if you notice, I don't know if you can notice, it's got a leaf, or a flower petal. And so it's called cruciferous. That is what all cruciferous come from. All cruciferous come from that wild mustard flower. It's been bred over thousands of years in France and the Mediterranean. Oh yeah, see, I'm blowing your mind. So it all started about 2,500 years ago in the Mediterranean French Riviera. So here we go. So now you can't see this, but cabbage comes from the buds, Brussels sprouts from the lateral buds, kohlrabi from the stem, kale, the leaves, broccoli, stems and flowers, cauliflower, it's a selection for the flower clusters. So just, it is mind-blowing. And then here's a more complete list, all these, okay? Those are all cruciferous. So they all come from the wild mustard flower. So now I know that's a lot to take on. So, you know, dandelion, wasabi, radish, rutabaga, mustard, you know, all those come from it. Bok choy is one of my favorite. Okay, so what happens here, why we want to really capitalize on the cruciferous is you have glucosinolates in the plant. And when myrosinase, that ASE tells you the enzyme most likely, that when you cut, chop, chew, then the cell breaks open and these neighbors now can meet. They didn't know about each other before. And so now they meet and they create these isothiocyanates. Okay, so you've got to break open and chop in order for these to meet one another. And the catch is that myrosinase is destroyed by heat or acid. So whenever you cook it or whenever you hit your stomach, it's going to stop. Okay, so this wonderful action is going to stop. So that's why we say let it sit, chop it, and then let it sit for 10 to 40 minutes. 40 minutes is about the max that we see these isocyanates compounds being created. And the isocyanates, you also hear about sulforaphanes. That's from that, and indoles. So that's from that reaction there. So, okay, so sounds great, but what if you don't have maybe 10 to 40 minutes to let it sit? Okay, so we have a hack there. So what we can do is let it rest for whatever you can. So while you're prepping together, then go ahead and, you know, add your acid or your cooking, you know, whatever it is. And then just before serving, add a little mustard powder, sprinkle on there, or add a little bit raw of another cruciferous that's chopped. Because the myrosinase from that raw, whatever it is, will go in there. Of course, if you're very brave, you could do something like horseradish or wasabi. So, but all those come from a cruciferous. And so did you notice that all these things have very strong taste? That's the bitterness that comes from the mustard flower. And mustard, you know, Dijon and things like that, they have that myrosinase in them and glucosinolates, and that creates the bitter reaction. And part of what we know that happens in our body, it's made to ward off pests for the most part, the bitterness, that kind of pepperiness. But when it's a micro homopoietic reaction. It's like we stress our bodies on a very nano, not even micro, nano level, and then our body gets stronger. Okay, it's kind of like taking, now I don't want to freak anybody else, but it's like kind of taking like poison a little bit. It's not poisonous, but it's like, you know, like you've heard of maybe before that emperors in China used to take like a really small dose of a poison because they were afraid that people were trying to poison them. They wanted to develop a immunity to it. So this, it's the same thing like exercise. How do you build muscle to exercise, guys? Work out. Do you work out so that it's super easy? Or do you work out so you push yourself a little bit? Push yourself. Yeah. There's that area where you push yourself so you're a little worn out, maybe a little sore the next day, but not too much so you get super injured. But you're tearing the muscle on a very micro level, and then it repairs and gets stronger. There's a lot of things that do this that we know make us more stronger, more resilient. So the cruciferous.
We use the mustard powder right as we mix everything. Right?
Just before you serve it.
Before
Yeah,
serve.
just sprinkle it on. You just need a little bit. I think I've looked at the research.
Salt or pepper, just.
Yeah, a fourth a teaspoon for 7 cups of uncooked is what I've found in the research. I looked at the studies. So, or just a little bit of the raw, just add a little bit. Doesn't even have to be a lot, guys. Just
Also for raw vegetables, it's just a teeny bit.
yes, but it has to be a cruciferous. It has to be one of the cruciferous. So, that's a way. And, don't get wrapped up and stressed about it. If you don't have the 10 to 40 minutes and you didn't add something raw, just by having cruciferous, honestly, 5 times a week is what I call my golden strategy for cancer. That's like the ultimate. Okay. So just having them. But also whenever I get, now I really detest getting a kale bag of pre-torn kale because they never take the stem off. Okay. And it's like, come on. So you need to take the stem off to get the bitterness out of there. So even if they're out of kale, I'm just like, I'm going to another store. So usually I did that one time and I started to take off the stem. I'm like, this is not saving me any time taking the stem off of every little leaf there. So, but if you were like, today we're going to have cabbage. And last night I actually tried out a new kind of quick recipe, and you just grabbed the coleslaw mix from the store. Okay. And I chopped it up a little more because I want to release the myrosinase. I don't know quite what's been done with it, treated, if they've been released, that kind of thing. So I just want to make sure, because just chopping it up a little bit more, I'm going to release some myrosinase there. So, just, keep that in mind. If you get any of these cruciferous that are already kind of prepped and ready to go, just take a second to do a couple chops so that you get some of the myrosinase that we want to be released to make the sulforaphane. And the sulforaphane, the actions there, it blocks cancer, proliferation, so growth, induces apoptosis, so that's getting rid of any cells that their life is kind of done. Prevents METs. It slows the progression of benign and malignant tumors. So you can see it does multiple actions for cancer. So the evidence is strongest for stomach, colon, rectal, lung, a little weaker, but still evidence for bladder, breast, prostate, ovarian, and endometrial. So heart health, we see positive effects from the cruciferous in the heart health. We don't see the LDLs, the cholesterol that we really kind of target a lot, go down by 5 and 10 points, but there's other internal actions in the endothelial layer, the artery, that very fragile layer that we see changes in that happen with cruciferous. Inflammation, we always see with higher intake of cruciferous, lower inflammation levels. So now the caution for cruciferous is anybody on hypothyroid medication, and also cruciferous are high in vitamin K. So if you're on a blood thinner, that you need to watch that. Those are caution areas. Okay, garlic. Garlic's a whole different reaction, but we can get more of it. We let it rest for 10 minutes. So here, what you want to do is just look at the recipe and just go, oh, it has garlic minced. I want to do that first. Now, if you're using jar garlic, you're not going to get that. So, but if you're mincing your garlic from fresh, yes.
Like cruciferous have to do with your fire.
There's some, I'm not recalling off the top of my head, but yeah, there's some reactions in there. So if you're a thyroid patient, in particular, Hashimoto disease, So you want to be careful. Look into that. If that is, see me if that's something that you're concerned with. So, but yeah, that's a caution area. So we want to look into that. So
I eat a lot of, I was starting on medicine and it worked right away. So just communicate with your doctor.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, is that thyroid, Carolyn, or yeah. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So garlic, a whole different reactions, diel sulfide, disulfide, and diel trisulfide. So you just want to chop, crush, or mince it and let it sit for 10 minutes. Then you'll retain, even after high heat, 70% of these beneficial compounds. So traditionally we say before you even preheat, just mince your garlic first, then preheat the oven. That way you've got probably 10 minutes. So if you're roasting garlic, which is a wonderful flavoring, takes a little time and patience, but just chop off, you have the bulb and just chop it off, let it sit for 10 minutes. You don't have to separate it and mash it and all that. So, okay. Some more kind of what I call matches made in heaven, marriages that are good. Green tea and lemon, we talked a little bit about that, but the vitamin C helps the catechins. It can be any vitamin C, but vitamin C really helps make more of the catechins. That's the powerful antioxidant that we talk about a lot in cancer. Protects the polyphenols from being oxidized. Tomatoes and olive oil. So most of our dishes grab a little olive oil. Today we grab a little olive oil in the pan with our tomatoes. But again, non-fat is not really always the best scenario. Just a little, it just takes like a teaspoon in tomato, but cooking tomatoes really helps absorb 2 to 15 times more, that little bit of oil, the lycopene. So turmeric, I mentioned that it's herb used throughout Asia for the color. The active ingredients curcumin. It's not too stable, but about 5% is curcumin in turmeric. It's antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, so it's great. So you just need like 1/20th of a teaspoon for a black pepper, and you increase the absorption 2,000%. 2,000%. So really important that you make sure that you have pepper teamed up with all your turmeric recipes. Okay, so I know some of you have been asking about soy. So, should breast cancer survivors avoid soy foods if you have it in the family? I know that's a concern, very understandable concern. Now, soy is, it's a whole food. It's a complex food with many components in it. Your body then takes it and breaks it down, just like any whole food, into smaller building blocks. So it can cross and be absorbed into your body, because we don't absorb it until it's into these smaller building blocks. So our brains are wired to recognize fear. So if we hear something about soy cancer that is scary, we're going to cling on to that. And it's going to imprint. And it's really hard to get out. And that's what I've seen happen with soy. Years ago, there were animal studies in the 2000s that were broadcast that were misinterpreted to humans. They were done in mice. And we can't, mice metabolism is different than ours, so we can't apply that to us. And so there were a lot of headlines made back then, and even health professionals today still remember that. That's imprinted in them. So let's look at what the well-done science is. And actually, there was a U.S. News and World Report in the last 2 weeks released by Janet Helm. She's a dietitian that wrote the article in the U.S. News on soy. And it says mimics exactly what I'm saying to you now. I'm not even changing what I have had. She said it exactly, and you can look it up. It's online, U.S. News Report. Janet Helm she's been known as, she's about my age. She's a speaker, done national speaking. That's one of her things. So she's well regarded. I actually spoke with her once many years ago at the National Convention. So the current data says there is no relationship between soy as a whole food and cancer recurrence, even breast cancer estrogen positive. Now, the phytoestrogens, we hear those thrown out. They mean plant estrogens. They are similar, but not the same to the estrogen we have in our body. Okay, so we're not eating estrogen when we eat soy. And a couple other points is that our body actually makes a ton more estrogen than what we're getting in food. A ton more, way more. We can't even begin to match it. So it's not even comparable there, even if you're still having trouble with accepting this. And then the last thing that's really important to know is that estrogen has two receptors, an alpha and a beta receptor in the metabolism in our body. And the alpha one is linked to breast cancer. The beta one is not. Isoflavones tend to bond to the beta. So it's totally not related. Now, keep in mind that when you're consuming whole foods like soy milk, like tofu, soy nuts, tempeh, edamame, you get other things that are really great. And you're not getting these large amounts of the isoflavone compounds. If you go to AICR.org, that's American Cancer Research, check the tab that's research there. They have a research tab. Then you can go down and you can actually select different food components and look at the current research. You can read about soy there. For breast, if you look at all the national organizations and look at what they recommend for soy, the most conservative ones are easily, you can eat 1 to 2 a day, no problem. And some are like 5, 6 a day, no problem. And it's not that there's danger more than that, guys. Okay, it's just they're comfortable saying that. So I have no problem with somebody, even with breast cancer positive, you know, in the family or survivor, eating soy several times a day. And actually, there's actually research showing that that people that eat soy have less recurrence. Okay, so now you're still going to continue to see people that aren't going to believe it, even if you just like tell them everything I said today, and that's okay. That's, you know, we all are imprinted for fear that it serves us, and so it's really hard to get around some of these beliefs sometimes. So there really is not research to show that it's going to contribute to cancer. Now, I do want to make a kind of call out there is I'm not talking about, sorry, I'm not talking about any kind of powders or supplements. So I'm not saying those are dangerous, but we're missing the fiber, the protein, the calcium, the other things that are in there. Plus whole food, your body just does so well with whole food. And it's so complex, guys, with the transport, the receptors, what happens, this makes this regulates this, modulates this enzyme reaction, that when we get into the minute small compounds in thousands, you know, higher amounts than in whole foods, it's no wonder that maybe that's a little questionable what it does in your body. I'm not saying, but we don't have research to say that. But I always am going to say eating whole foods is good for you. Okay. 1 to 2 servings a day of soy is definitely safe. I'm going to have it for lunch. I had it for lunch yesterday. Avoid the soy powder, soy pills, the soy isolates, unless your doctor recommends that or something. And you don't have to eat soy to be healthy. So
I is a survey. I've never really worked with such learning. Is it half a block or do you not worry about that?
I don't worry too much. I'd say at least 2 slices is a serving.
Okay.
So some people might go closer to 4. It depends upon how hungry. Is that your light snack or a bigger meal? You know, that kind of thing. So when you're going to eat next, are you eating 5 times a day or 3 times a day?
Sure.
So those things are going to matter. So now we do say, you know, one guiding, if you're doing 3 meals a day, 2 of those meals you want to make sure for females at least 20 grams of protein, males 30 grams of protein. Now you're going to get some in your vegetables and stuff like that, so don't calculate your tofu for all 20 grams. I'm just saying.
Sure.
So we typically say 1 ounce of protein is worth 7 ounces of protein, so 7 grams of protein. So that kind of gives you a guide. So okay. I also do want to, you know, again, I'm talking about whole food soy. So we're talking edamame, tofu we're going to talk about in a second a little more. Soy milk. And soy milk, I really like soy milk, just like some of the almond milks and things like that you get in the store. They're sweetened and they're vanillaized and they're, cappuccinoized and all this kind of stuff. You want to make sure that you're getting as minimally the ingredients. And I do find with soy milk, I do like the UHT. That is those that are in the cartons that you don't have to refrigerate till you open it. Walmart does have them. They're hidden. Okay. And they're like, it's a big container and it's on the bottom shelf in the cookie aisle. Don't ask me why. So they have almond and soy there in UHT containers. And then Trader Joe's does a UHT one. And I get a lot of times when I go up to Trader Joe's every 6 weeks or so, I'll just get a whole bunch of those. And the nice thing is they stay good. Like mine right now are good. I looked the other day till October. So they stay for several weeks. So once you open them, you put them in the refrigerator.
So almond milk does come plain, but you have to be sure and see the word plain.
Yes, and always check the ingredients because sometimes you're like, this is supposed to be just soy milk, but that's a paragraph this big with all the ingredients. So whereas if you look at these UHT, it's usually honestly like 3 ingredients at most. So, okay. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to add there. Do what you're comfortable with. I'm not trying to put you in an uncomfortable area if you're like, I'm just not ready for tofu. Today we're going to do some, you're going to try some. For a lot of people, just ordering at the restaurant is a good place to go first. We have some wonderful actual Thai restaurants around here that are great. And I love Thai because if they're really good Thai, doesn't mean expensive. If they're a good Thai restaurant, they do fresh produce. So, and you can do too. Tantra. And what is it? What is the one on 53rd? Exotic Thai. Yeah. When are they going to open? Have they opened? They're redoing. I'm just like, wow. Have they reopened?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that.
Okay. I don't drive that way too often. Yes. Okay. So that's a great one there. So, okay. Let's get going then. I do want to mention a couple things. Oh, action steps here. Squeeze some lemon with your green tea this week. Maybe make you were getting into a hotter, what about making a lemon green tea and putting it in a pitcher and drinking that during the day? I mean, that would be a nice, put it in a wine glass. So,
Should lemon be fresh?
no, it doesn't have to be. Nope, because we want that vitamin C, and the jar should have the vitamin C. So,
Wine glass.
yes. Pepper and turmeric, check your recipes. If you've got turmeric, add a note about pepper there. Cooked tomato, we're going to do something today that's wonderful. Cooked tomato actually releases some things that you don't get in fresh, although you're not going to get me to stop doing my bruschetta. So mincing garlic, just starting, maybe even put a little note, a little sticky note somewhere in your kitchen that you want to mince your garlic. And if you just use jar garlic, don't worry, that's fine. I mean, we can't do everything, guys. We can't. I've got things that I want to work in the next couple months. So, you want a handful of strategies that you are regularly doing, not just one, a handful, and then you start growing from there. You play around. So, okay, let's get back here. So I am going to, I don't even know if this has been, let me look at, let's see, let's get back. I don't know what's going on here. We don't need that. We need this. There we go. I need to stop sharing so that the recording, there we go. So, okay. So I'm going to put it, well, I'm going to just talk a little bit here about tofu because that's a good one. Let me get my gloves on. Okay. So also, I have 2 classes starting in June. I have a Cooking with Heart Foundational and Cooking with Heart for Diabetes. And so if you know of anybody, that would be interested, please, pass it on to them. We have room. The other thing is I'm going to be testing out a new cool tool in these classes. I have teamed up with, I'm part of a think tank on culinary nutrition for nutrition professionals, and part of the kind of group that I'm working with, and part of we're testing out a dietary assessment tool. And up until this point, I have voiced that I do not like any of the things out there. And, you know, they do research and they pay people to sit down for 20 minutes of boring. What did you eat yesterday? Was it a vegetable? What vegetable? How much? What, you know, all these things. How was it prepared? I'm just like, nobody goes through that. I can't ask you guys to fill that out. So I've given up like on some of testing some of these out like halfway through, because I'm like, nobody's going to do this. So this is one that's picture, and it's very easy, and it's actually been validated by research. So you basically just click on pictures and just keep going. I had this much, I have this too. So we are testing out, because part of this company that I'm on the board of, we're seeing if we want to buy the exclusive rights to this kind of tool. And that's a big investment to buy the exclusive rights. And if this company got the exclusive rights, since I am part of that, I could get as many free kind of pre and post assessments as I want. And the idea would you get a score at the beginning for your pre-assessment of where you are, and then you get a score at the end, because one of the problems wellness, dietitian, nutrition professionals run into is how to show people there's changes happening. Yes, blood pressure, cholesterol, weight, those are all things, but we all know those don't budge as quick as we'd like them to. And sometimes we don't even need those to change. We just know that we need to make some changes. Otherwise, we're going to see some things happen down the road we don't like. Okay. So this is a tool where you could easily, even in 4 weeks, get a change in your number and go, oh yeah, I'm going the direction I want to. So I'll be offering that. They're actually scrambling, because I'm like, June 1st is my first class. And they're like, we're going to get it for you. We're going to get it for you. We want you to do that because you have such a great class going on. So if you want to do the class, and, because as you know, there's all kinds of, even if you've taken it, there's all kinds of things you can learn. And I always say you are different each time you take the class. It's not that you didn't get it all and you were supposed to. No, I'm learning. Okay, this is a process. So each time through, you're a different person. You're going to hear different things. Your life is different. So you're going to up it in different ways. So you're more than welcome to do the journey with me again if you want to, and try that out with me. We're going to, we're piloting it to see if this is something that we truly want to make an investment in. So I'm super excited about it, because I've been kind of voicing my concern that we don't have a tool that's really reasonable to be using in practice here. So, okay, so let's do the cabbage. So let's do the peanut spicy cabbage. So coleslaw. And last night, I want to point out, last night I made, it was a little different because I was testing out a recipe that goes really quickly. But, I grabbed the coleslaw prep, and, it wasn't as pretty. It didn't have much as variety as we're going to have today. But you know what? If you're in a bind and grabbing that bag, you're not going to get 10 cups of cabbage, from it, because you're not chopping it. So maybe that's a little more reasonable. And, so just, there's different things that will work. So, and if you want to change up the sauce because it's just too long for you, too many ingredients, that's fine. So you got to make it so it works for you. Okay. So we're going to make the sauce. This is a really, really good sauce. It's has a little more kick than last week. Last week was a very traditional peanut sauce that we had in the stir fry. So, I'm going to have to, let me just, let me put it over here, I guess. I don't know if you guys, I'm going to aim it at my hands. So I think, is that aim? What is in this? What? Okay. It's not, it's weird how I'm getting, this is just the weirdest thing ever. Okay. I am recording on the Microsoft Teams. So let me actually, why is that? It's just bugging. Is there something on the screen? Okay. Yeah, I think there was something on the screen, so I can get a little bit better. So in the recording, there we go. Okay. So, okay, we're gonna have peanut butter, of course, to start with. So you can do the sesame. So, I mean, tahini, have you tried the tahini there, Bonnie?
I mean, no, I haven't.
Okay, because I tested out chocolate hummus with tahini and then with peanut butter, natural peanut butter, and they were a little different, but they were both very good. So, so I think you'll find maybe even some recipes even better by using the tahini. So, coconut aminos, I did find they had, this is the coconut liquid aminos. They had liquid aminos in Bragg's at Walmart the other day. Now that's a little higher salt, but at least they're starting to carry. They've never carried before, to my knowledge. This is instead of soy sauce.
Yeah.
So it's much lower sodium. It's still not. It's called coconut liquid aminos. So you got to make sure. Okay, there's liquid aminos, and then there's coconut liquid aminos by Bragg's. It gets confusing. The coconut has lower sodium. The liquid aminos is still lower than soy sauce. So I'm glad to see that Walmart at least is carrying that. Okay, garlic, we should have minced that right away. I'm using jars, so I'm not doing like I just kind of recommended, but we're going quicker. So, but keep in mind if you are doing garlic from scratch that you want to do that first and let it sit just a few minutes. Whatever you can will be great. Ginger, I wanted to show you about ginger because I did fresh ginger here. So ginger, when you're in the store, break off what you need. Don't worry about like, oh, okay, I guess that's the best looking piece. Break it off what you need. And I'm always looking for ones with the least number of knobs on them because the knobs are a pain. So I'm always looking for like a thumb finger kind of looking piece. I'll just break that off and then peel it. And then you just go like that, really easy.
And how do you keep it?
Okay,
How long?
very good. You can freeze it. So that's what I'll do is I'll peel this whole thing. Now, technically, you can take a spoon and get in between this. I don't have the patience for that. So what I'll do is just break this off and then just peel that whole thing, okay? And then I'll put this in the freezer and then you can take it out and it doesn't really have to thaw too much before you can mince it.
Thank you.
So don't put it in the freezer with the peel on because then you gotta let it thaw the whole way. So
You just put it in a bag here.
yes, I have a freezer baggie full of knobs or thumbs. So yes, that's a great way to have fresh ginger on hand. So powder is good too. This is a little more potent flavor-wise, a little more fresh nutrition-wise, but powder still got a lot of power to it. So when I say ginger, I say powder or fresh. So so we've got that, and then one of the secret ingredients is sriracha. So now I find this is like the smallest. Is this, John? Somebody showed. Okay, this is smaller than my other container of sriracha, but this is the smallest I've been able to find in the garage, in the grocery store. What? Okay. Okay. If you find it, let me know. So the other thing is just, take it home, take half the bottle and give the rest to anybody who has teens. All the teens are using this. So, because this is just a lot to use. I only use it in my recipes. I am not going to sit there and put it directly on my food ever. So, okay. So, and then some water to thin that out. Oh, some lime. So lime is a really great, okay. Just squeeze the lime with your tongs there. Don't need a squeezer there. And then we're just going to mix that up.
What if you don't want all that spice? It's silly flavor. Those are kind of spicy too, right?
The what?
What if you don't want the spice?
Like the sriracha?
Yeah.
Yeah, just take that out. Last week was actually pretty close to a traditional peanut sauce. You can use that instead and add that to coleslaw. So, I don't know. What's sriracha? It's chili. Chili with lots of it's not too bad. 7 ingredients, so it's not a big paragraph. So it's got a little sugar, a little salt, but chili pepper. I am going to whisk it. Yeah.
What was the difference between today's recipe and last week?
This one's got the sriracha and a little, I think, lime. I don't think I did last week. So they're slight. The last week's what I call traditional. This is a little updated with kick. So I think ginger too. You can back down the ginger. Christine does best with peanut butter, I find. I don't have, you can put it in the blender if you want, but I don't like extra dishes, so. What? No, but and she is allergic to peanut butter, so she could substitute tahini instead of peanut butter. It's not used tahini. It's a little more expensive than peanut butter, but it's actually got a slight nutty taste. It's sesame paste. It's from sesame seeds. So it's not even a nut butter technically, but for people that are allergic, it's a great alternative. So I use it a lot as sauces I like for salads. Okay. So there's our dressing. So let's throw together our coleslaw. So let me get a big bowl. So here I did both red and green. Okay, that's ideal because they actually have different. The red is more anti-inflammatory. The green is more antioxidant slightly. You know, if I had to choose one, I'd go with the red, but they both have different properties. It's not like this is just a muted, same as the red cabbage, guys. So I just want you to know that. So you want a total of 6 cups between the carrots and the cabbage, however you choose. So whatever you like there. You don't have to use shredded carrots. I typically buy shredded carrots for this class to, you know, my cooking classes to show you it's quick and easy. At home, I'm just cheap. I just have the carrots, and to me, I just cut them small. I'm not going to shred them. There's a few recipes I shred because I want that moisture when you shred it, but I usually just chop small and then throw it in there. So scallions. So we're going to throw that in there. Scallions, I wanted to show you. This is, we talked, I think, last week about doing this, didn't we? So, oh, okay. This is another way. You can, you know, wrap this in a damp paper towel, put it in the refrigerator to store it. You can also cut up these and put in the Parmesan shaker and put it in your freezer. Just keep it in the freezer and take it out quickly, put it back. If you want to grow scallions, you can, but I want to give you the in and out of it because I tried it like 5 times before I was successful because, you know, articles never tell you what's all going to go wrong. So first of all, you got to make sure there's root, okay? And somebody did give me a tip, and I think it makes perfect sense. They talked to somebody at a farmer's market, and they said the fresher farmer's market ones are going to do better. So, I mean, I've been using the store ones, but sometimes it doesn't take. The other thing is you fill the water up to a level where it starts to change white to green. So right in there is the level. And you want to cut it off pretty far down. Okay, don't stick it in with that all there. That's a big mistake that I made at first. Because what's going to happen is these shoots are going to start growing then. So then it's going to start growing out of there. So you might find some lesser than desirable stuff start forming. It's just like, it looks like parchment paper around there. It's not as fresh looking as the green, but you'll see some green sprouting off. You cut that down again. Once that sprouts off, you cut that down. If you get like kind of on the outer, sometimes I get this more papery thing that's like, that doesn't quite look like fresh scallion. Just kind of cut it off. It's fine. You just probably won't throw that into your salad. But I got worried because that kept growing and then my green wasn't. And the green was pretty sad at the top and it was going like crazy, but it wasn't stuff I wanted to put in salads. So just keep trimming it. I'm not a gardener, but one thing I have learned, you know, my bushes, which I hate, the more I prune it, the more it grows. So, so just, you know, keep it pruning down and it will sprout. So I put it, you want it in sunlight. It is nice I have a nicer mason jar that I just put it in and I put it near my sink and I see it and I'll just change it out every day to every other day, the water. But again, it's just where it changes from the white to the green. So that's how you can, now it's not enough for me because it's like, oh, it's growing. Okay, good. It grew a little bit in the last couple of days. That's not enough scallion for me. So that's why I do have in the Parmesan shaker, I do have in my freezer, and then I buy fresh too. I have a lot of scallions, so I like them. So, okay, we're just gonna put this over. Sorry about that, Bonnie. So And then we're just gonna mix it the best way possible is with our hands. So now, sometimes I'll use this as a bulk recipe. You can get 2, maybe 3 days if you toss it, but if you want it the freshest, the coleslaw and the carrots and all that will be fine. It's the dressing that will make it a little soggy. So I have little containers I just put, and so I use all the time. So, but you could use this as a bulk recipe easily. So there we go. We've got our delicious, you see how you like this. If it's got too much kick, you want to go back to last week's. Last week's, you might want to double if I'm thinking on that. I'm trying to think of that. That's a 1/4 cup of peanut butter. What does last week's? Can anybody flip in their binder and see? Yeah, so let's double that if you were doing this. But if you wanted to make half that. So now here it is. So you see, I have this one here. I just want to show you, there's the core, and then we typically just quarter it. And then just like cauliflower, we just want to get this off, and then we can just start chopping. Okay, that's, real quickly, you should shred it up. I shred my own. I buy it. I don't buy it pre-shredded, but that's just me because it's like so easy. Now, a medium cabbage is going to give you probably 10 cups because I have a recipe called, what's it called? It's the green goddess salad. It's a TikTok thing, and that makes 10. I get a green one, and I can, on one head, medium, not super huge, one medium, I can get 10 cups.
For the core, is it better to eat the core? I know some people, because I can thicken with more vitamins.
Well, I want to get that red for this, so I don't know that for sure. Usually it is, and a lot of people don't like to waste that, and we'll shred that, use a grater. But I'm tossing mine.
Okay,
So you do go, like the discard bowl is really nice, guys, when you're doing prep on the weekend, because you go through, your leaves and the outer. So, a lot of times grocery store bought ones, you're going to take the outer off there. So it depends on how it looks. It's pretty packed, a good cabbage. Now, if you break open a cabbage and it's got lots of air in there, it's a little older. You got, it seems like it's pushed open. It's probably older. Okay, we're going to do tofu. So, we're at 1. Okay, we're going to finish this real quick. So here's the tofu brick. So for this recipe, we're just going to take some paper towels. I would have a dish towel at home, but we don't have them here. I'm just going to drain off the tofu. Now, tofu is unprocessed. Yes, it's processed, but it's minimally processed. Its ingredients are water, soybeans. All it is, they take soybeans, boil them, strain it, make soy milk, and then add an enzyme to it. That's it. That's all they do to make tofu. It makes a brick like this. The difference between extra firm, and soft is just the amount of water, how long it's been in the enzyme. It has less water when it's extra firm. There's not a lot of difference I detect between extra firm and firm. Soft is more for soups and things like that. That has more water. So we're just going to press out here. We want it as a brick in this case. In my other classes, I slice it up. But here we're just going to take this. I'm going to just, I know this is crazy. Paper towels are going to get like stoked. So, but that's what I have to work with. So we're just going to do this one here. But in theory, you take your dish towel and just squeeze it best you can gently. It's not, if it crumbles a little bit, in this case, it's okay. We normally squeeze it by wrapping it in a paper towel, put a cutting board on top of it, and then dishes on top of it to press it down. The best way I find is to slice it in like meatloaf, 8 of them, and then put the meatloaf slices down on a towel, put a towel over it, then put the cutting board on top, and then stack your dishes on top of the cutting board. Now you're pressing down the meatloaf slices. Now in a half an hour, you're getting out a good amount of water. Here, I'm assuming that you have no time, so we're just going to press out what we can get here, and then we're going to let the heat take out the rest. So I'm going to get my hand going. get my little bit of oil, because remember we want oil, because we're adding tomatoes. It's important that we make sure we have a teeny bit of oil. So I'm gonna add my oil, my extra virgin olive oil there. And I am going to, I've got my tomato sauce paste. So tomato paste here. I'm going to be, let me crumble this once it gets hot there. So I'm just going to crumble this. It's going to make it like ground beef, okay? And I'm going to spread it out because I want to get this dry as possible quickly. Get out the moisture that I wasn't able to get out of there.
The name of that recipe.
What?
What's the name of the recipe?
Tofu scramble. Tofu tomato scramble. Okay, so we got the tomato paste. Tomato paste, I didn't quite use all of the cup. So here's what I did with the other tomato paste. I just put it here. Now I can take this off, put it in a container. Okay, I have a tomato in my freezer of tomato paste dollops. I have beans, I have pesto, you know, and I have the scallions. So part of what you want to do is have on hand things that you can just either add to things that you've already got going on, or you can make a dish quickly. So you have to have on hand these things if you're going to start cooking whole food delicious.
Well, that's nice. Now, I would go buy tomato paste and throw it away.
Tomato paste, that's concentrated. It only has 20 grams of sodium. So we're going to use, these are things that you could easily have on hand to whip together for a meal. Okay, tofu usually keeps for a while, June 30th, you know. So, I just drained these. I kind of press these out because they do have quite a bit of moisture because we want to get that out there. So the jar, roasted peppers, and then our spices. We're having smoked paprika. You can use regular. But you got to smell this. This is so good. And then chili powder. Remember, chili powder. We're not going to use Tones or McCormick. So I'm just going to starting to brown a little bit, get off the moisture. I'm going to add then my tomato paste, my seasoning, and let that cook a little longer, and that will be it. You can roasted peppers off the freezer. I'm sure you can because they're pretty soft already. That's a great thinking, Barney. I've never done that, but I'm sure you can.
Okay.
So, yeah, and don't be afraid to add roasted pepper into anything. So I can smell that. So we're just trying to get it a little dry. So now you can, you know, for a quick meal, you know, I've got here, they didn't have dark green. I wanted dark green, but they had the red, and red beef is actually fantastic too with the red on the end. So those are the best parts of it there. So we're adding that. And let's see, where did I add cilantro? Here's my cilantro for I was like, I know I had cilantro today. So we'll add that there. So you can put this on a piece of whole wheat, maybe Ezekiel bread, toast. So that would be a great start to the day, but greens are great. And so, what did I do with my, I put it, anybody see a bold lettuce? Oh, there, right here. Here it is. So I just covered it up. So there we go. You guys are going to be able to taste this on a bed of lettuce there. It's just really great to do. So you could also wrap it and go. So just put it in here and go. So I'll do that. But I really want you to start thinking about dark greens are so fantastic. And we usually have to wait till it's in a recipe. But so many things, we could just put a bed of lettuce on the bottom and we went, no, lettuce doesn't really have a lot of times a very strong flavor. They just kind of meld into whatever flavors. It adds a little texture, but we get a lot of nutrition out of adding dark green, a lot. It's actually high in potassium. If you want to lower your blood pressure, dark greens, great way to go. So, but just start thinking, because most of our recipes, again, our original recipes were built when we didn't have greens available all year long. I mean, think of your grandparents. I mean, really, dark greens, I mean, iceberg lettuce is all no iceberg lettuce. I'm sure there's some nutrition in iceberg lettuce, but I don't know. I don't know. It's very, very small compared to the other options out there.
What if tofu you on the grill?
What?
Tofu, can you put it on the grill?
Oh, yes, done it many times. So yes, it's just not, we don't go that direction thinking of it. So yes, my brother, he's vegan and he's done a tofu chocolate cake on the grill. So he does every year on June 2nd, he's going to do his vegan grill out, and he has like 5 grills going and he makes all kinds of dishes. And
What's his address?
he's here in Rock Island, so watch out. So, but just think of on the go doing something like this. Now, I know this is kind of like scrambled eggs, and you might be like, no, Teresa, I just don't see it as scrambled eggs. That's okay. That's okay. There are some recipes for tofu scramble that add turmeric. That we could add that and some pepper in here. That would it would hardly change the taste. Turmeric really doesn't have. I mean, if you just had turmeric plain, you do taste it, but it kind of melds into anything. It's pretty much known for its color. So, okay, we're going to turn that off. I know we need to get going out of here. So go ahead and grab a plate, grab a fork, a napkin, and we'll get you trying this out on a bed of lettuce here. And also, as you're coming through, I do want to say, a big thank you for your participation. This has been so much fun with you guys coming. And we put these classes on as at no cost as a way of raising the health of the community. Go ahead. Take those.
Well, perfect.
And so we need your help raising the health of the community, passing the word on. I mean, this is free. We aren't making money on this, okay? So this is about reaching more people. So if you can share with your doctor, so many doctors and even doctors that know, they forget to refer. So if you can brag up the class with your doctor, that would help a lot. Your family or friends that that are trying to make changes, encourage them wherever they are on the spectrum for transitioning their eating. They've been doing it for a while. They don't know where to start. This class is made for all those. Lastly, if you so desire, if you want to make a donation, we do take, the foundation takes donations. The foundation is what supports this and Gilda's Club and our other classes too. So, I'll be sending out a link in an email follow-up with a link to make a donation of, oh, thank you, Jennifer. Just, $5, $10 to whatever. This is part of us getting out a positive message in the community of changing your eating. You can do it. It's fun. It's going to make a difference in just how you experience food plus your health. Well, welcome to Cooking with Heart for Cancer Class 4. So can you believe it? 4 classes. So how time flies. So come on in 2 more. So wow, pull up chairs, guys. I hope I have handouts for everything. So, okay, so a couple of announcements to get us started. There's a handout there for a cancer retreat that's in a couple weeks, June 4th. And I'll be speaking, and actually Kelsey, the director, program director for Gilda's Club, will be speaking. There's going to be a meditation. It's a gratitude meditation, so I am sticking around for that. And there's a stained glass living art proof. There's a lunch. It's all free of charge. It's out in the country, like no distractions, no pollution, just you and the world and serenity and peace. So it's for cancer survivors. So it's about 35 minutes away. So definitely consider that. I know they have seats open. So it's a great way to spend your Sunday just recharging, regenerating. So
You don't know off the top of your head what high we would take.
I don't.
That's fine. We
I don't. And then the Humility of Mary is like, it's one of their properties that they like, you know, I mean, it's no cost there. And this is like, you know, they're giving back. So they give back in so many ways. So wonderful director there that I've been communicating with. I'm super excited. I'm going to do 2 recipes that I haven't done in any of my classes. So if you come, you get new stuff, new lecture, all that. Okay. So really great stuff. So I want to turn it over to, we have Kelly that's on the line to share some great stuff about Gilda's Club. So I'm going to spotlight her so you can see her up on the screen. So you should be on the screen. You should see her there, Split.